Glad to have Senator Ted Cruz on the line. Ted, how are you?
Bags, great to be with you. I'm doing terrific.
It's always an absolute pleasure. Got to get some business out of the way first. I just had a guy from Minnesota tweet me. He said, because you were born in Canada, would you consider moving to Minnesota and being their senator?
well, tell him I appreciate the sentiment, but I'm damn proud to be a Texan.
Okay. I had to get that out of the way. All right. I watched last night the entire thing. I thought you were masterful, and I want to get into it in earnest in a second here, but I've got to start with the news of the day. The left-wing mainstream media is lying about why Senator Elizabeth Warren was shut down because protocol in the Senate last night. They're all reporting that it was because she dared want to read a letter from Coretta Scott King, the now late widow of Martin Luther King Jr. You and I both know that's not true. Why was she told to stop speaking? And by the way, two senators have read that letter since then, so it wasn't about the letter. What do you know about what happened last night and why she was stopped?
Well, I'll tell you, I wasn't on the Senate floor last night when this all went down because I was right in the middle of the CNN town hall debate with Bernie Sanders on Obamacare, so right. I wasn't there for the battle. But what I can tell you is the Senate Democrats. They are right now filled with rage and fury. They're in a state of denial over the election, and they're really angry at the voters. They're angry at the American people for voting for a Republican president, a Republican Senate, a Republican House, and they're lashing out. And with respect to Jeff Sessions, who we're getting ready to confirm as Attorney General in just a few minutes tonight. Yeah. Elizabeth Warren was recycling false and slanderous accusations, and unfortunately, Democrats, when they get desperate, their most often recourse is just to throw around baseless accusations of racism, and so she was smearing his character, and it's against the Senate rules to do that, and that's ultimately what happened last night, and it's really a manifestation of her anger and the anger of the other Senate Democrats at the American voters.
It is U.S. Senator Ted Cruz from the great state of Texas. I watched the debate last night with Bernie Sanders. I want to thank you. I want to thank him for doing it. I thought it was very informational. I thought it was very informative. Let's get past the idea and the fact that Dana Bash would interrupt you incessantly and allow him to continue as long as he wanted. I didn't make that up. That really happened. Ted, I don't think she even knows she's doing it, but she did it almost every single time. But you brought the facts. You brought the goods, and you had people in the audience that were obviously on your side. There were some that obviously were on Bernie's side, and I thought the way you dealt with it was great. Give me an overview of how you feel about having done that. Was it beneficial? How did you feel getting through it? Because I thought you did great.
Well, thank you, Joe. Look, I thought it was terrific. I mean, it was 2 hours long on an issue of substance, and that was probably more substance on health care than we had the entire presidential campaign season. Typically,
agreed.
You get 60 seconds or 90-second sound bites, and people just do their talking points on both sides, and that's it. I thought it was really good to drill down on a topic that matters to all of us. Healthcare is real and personal, and it's about our lives and our family, and I thought it was really beneficial to get beyond the superficial talking points and talk about the disaster that Obamacare has been. And
go ahead.
Go ahead. Well,
it's interesting because I think there's a little bit of a delay, so I'll jump in. It's interesting because what you said at the end was really great. Bernie Sanders, I agree with you, really believes what he said last night. It's not like he's making it up for some trickery. He really believes it. He just happens to be dead wrong. And I want to use the example of the hairdresser from Fort Worth. Her entire point was, I want to hire more people. I want to hire well over 50 people. I want to open new businesses. I want to employ many more people in my community. I can't afford to do it. And he almost played like gotcha. You've got good health care for yourself, but not for your employees, and you're a bad person. Well, it turned out at the end she can't even afford health care for herself. Does he not realize that if you employ more people and you make health care more affordable, then those people that you're employing can go and buy it? Did he miss that point?
He really doesn't realize this. I mean, listen, to Bernie's credit, he's honest and he's candid. He is a socialist. He admits he's a socialist.
Yeah.
And he believes the answer to every problem is more government power and more government control. The question you're referring to, for the folks of your listeners who didn't watch it last night, was a woman from Fort Worth who was a small business owner who had several small hair salons up at Fort Worth. And she said that they had 48, 49 employees, but she couldn't and wouldn't hire anymore because if they get over 50, it puts her under Obamacare, and she said that would bankrupt her, would drive her out of business.
Right.
And Bernie's answer was essentially tough luck. He said, first of all, I don't know much about hairdressing or small business.
Right. Right.
But he said, you need to provide health care to all your employees. And she said, well, if I do it, I'll go bankrupt. And
he's actually okay with her going bankrupt, just to stick to his talking point, when reality is, why would you want her to go bankrupt? Those 48, 49 employees are out of jobs, right, and her expansion is squelched.
And, Joe, that exchange, I would encourage as many people as possible to watch just Bernie talking to that woman, because what became abundantly clear is when Bernie talks about the rich, and, the Democrats love vilifying the rich as the evil rich, and they say, we're only going to raise taxes on the rich. He means her. He means that small business owner with several hair salons trying to make ends meet. And you're right, he dismissively said, well, you have great health insurance. She says, no, I can't afford it for my family. It's too expensive.
Right.
That's who they consider the rich, and the plans, that's who Obamacare has hammered, is people who are struggling to make ends meet. And it's why we've seen people's premiums skyrocket, deductibles skyrocket. Right now, millions of people are getting less coverage, worse insurance, higher premiums, higher deductibles, and they can cover fewer doctors and less choice. It is a bad deal for the American people.
And we were defrauded. The president himself, and you brought this up several times, said, like your plan, keep your plan. Like your doctor, keep your doctor. Save $2,500 a year. More people will be covered. And it just turned out not to be true. I mean, that to me, and you hear Joaquin Castro say stupid things about impeaching Trump today. That to me was one of the impeachable things that Obama did, defrauding the American people, lying to us to cram this down our throats, on Christmas Eve or something in 2009. And the result is Bernie Sanders still thinks, well, that's better than evil Ted and the evil Republicans and the evil rich who just want people to die. How do you combat, the argument, and you did a great job with it last night, but how do you combat the constant Democrat argument and the far left argument that, emotionally speaking, Republicans don't care and would rather see you die than tax the rich more?
Well, look, that is always their argument. They always claim that Republicans want to throw Granny from the cliff. In fact, during the debate, Bernie said that apparently I want all elderly people to die. He literally said that in the debate.
I know.
What's interesting is we don't have to debate this in theory. We can see in practice how Obamacare has worked for the last 6 years. As you and I were just talking about, Obamacare was built on an edifice of lies. Right. President Obama promised the American people, if you like your plan, you can keep your plan. If you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. Both of those proved not just a little bit wrong, but horribly, horribly, horribly wrong, as over 6 million people had their insurance canceled against their wishes. In fact, PolitiFact, which is a left-leaning liberal organization, labeled Obama's promise, if you like your plan, you can keep your plan, as the 2013 lie of the year. And Obama also promised, and Bernie promised, and the Democrats promised, that Obamacare would cut the average family's premiums by $2,500. Now, that didn't prove just a little bit off. It's not like they ended up, they only dropped $2,000. That would be pretty good if that's what happened.
Right.
The average family's premiums have increased by $5,000. And so people are hurting. And that's why they're so upset with Obamacare. And you ask, how do you counter the rhetoric? You counter the rhetoric with facts, which is the proposals that I'm advancing are proposals to put Bernie and Obama and the Democrats want government in control of your health care. I trust you and your doctor to make the health care decisions for you and your family. And we need to repeal Obamacare and then enact common sense reform that expands competition, that empowers patients, and keeps government from getting between you and your doctor.
I quite literally have about a minute. It's Senator Ted Cruz, and I really appreciate the time. I very quickly want to go here on a very complicated question. The one woman who said she used to live in Texas, moved to Maryland. First of all, there's on the internet today that she was holding a Gmail email that had the topic as your question. So there's question about whether there was collusion there. Having said that, it's a very real situation that people could fall through the cracks if they don't have coverage now. And I love the idea of traveling accounts, of competition across state lines. Pre-existing would be covered. covered for those people. But what about somebody who doesn't have any insurance now, like that woman suggested she was? What do you do with a person like that? Should you get rid of Obamacare and put something better in?
Right. Well, she described that she was on Medicaid, and one of the things the press never tells you is the majority of people who've been covered under Obamacare have been shoved onto Medicaid, and right. Medicaid produces really poor health outcomes. In fact, the data show that Medicaid produces much worse health outcomes than private insurance. In some instances, worse health outcomes than people with no insurance at all. Long waiting lists. People can't see doctors. Health insurance is not about having a plastic card in your wallet. It's about actually being able to see a doctor and getting care. And
tons of doctors aren't even taking Medicaid now. They've actually turned the people away.
That is exactly right. Medicaid, the outcomes have been really poor, and it's been hurting the most vulnerable.
Right.
What we need to see instead is programs that expand choice and lower costs, such as allowing you to buy across state lines, expanding health savings accounts.
And I got to leave it there. It's a hard network out. Ted, I got to leave it there. I can't thank you enough for taking the time. Let's do it again very soon, okay? Can we?
Terrific. Thank you, Pat. God bless.
All right, brother. Thank you. Senator Ted Cruz. We got to go on TV. We can.